Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel where we talk all about farming, specifically livestock farming in Zimbabwe. Today we would like to discuss one of the important aspects in the business of running a profitable hatchery business in Zimbabwe. So if you are thinking of starting your own egg hatchery business in Zimbabwe, whether it's broilers or layers, then this is a profitable venture if done right and if done with the correct legal compliance. So in this video, I'm going to break down how to start from scratch and also even sourcing fertile eggs from neighboring countries, for instance, South Africa, as well as any legal requirements and also market strategies, and also how to navigate government policy on avian influenza, which is very key to impact your imports. So let's get started. Many of you might be asking, why hatcheries? Why go for a hatchery business? So hatcheries are the backbone of the poultry value chain in Zimbabwe. Now, with increasing demand for day-old chicks across Zimbabwe, especially in the rural and also even in the peri-urban areas, starting your own hatchery can save smallholder farmers and also even the medium to large-scale poultry producers. And this also even means there are also high margins on day-old chicks when you start this kind of business. On the other hand, we also talk of the growing demand due to urbanization and also nutritional awareness, which is characterized by a high demand for white meat, particularly poultry. And on the other hand, we also talk of the short turnaround period, eggs to chicks, which is just 21 days, which is very essential. So the other key important area you have to think around is the equipment and infrastructure, which is essential for you to start this business. When you decide to start up a HR business, you have to design it well using the recommended standards. Then to run this successful hatchery, you need to set it up right, and you need. Then we also talk of the brooding space for unsold chicks, and also idea is the majority of the broilers. Chicks hatched in Zimbabwe, they are sourced eggs from South Africa as well as other neighboring countries, because now in Zimbabwe the demand for the fetal eggs is quite high, and the large scale hatcheries get priority from major breeders farms in Zimbabwe. So if you don't have your own breeder flock, which is definitely the case with most people, because maintaining breeder flocks is quite expensive and also requires a number of stringent measures. Therefore, importing fetal eggs is a best move, especially if you are doing it at a large scale. And South Africa is one of the most popular source of these eggs. So basically, there are standards as well as steps which are required for you to source these fetal eggs. So you have to partner with the registered breeder farms to ensure, and you have to ensure that they are well certified. Then you also have to request even fertility certificates and also a health declaration. Then you also engage the customs clearing agent who are experienced with poultry imports. Then it is also very important that you stay alert and well updated about avian influenza outbreaks in South Africa. And this is very important because it can often lead to import bans. Stay updated with the Zimbabwe Ministry of Lands, Agriculture, Fisheries, as well as Water and Rural Development key updates concerning this. And also always import from avian influenza free zones and confirm with the Department of Veterinary Service in Zimbabwe before placing your order. So this is also very important for public health and also for keeping the health of the local birds free from this avian influenza. You have to acquire your licensing and registration, whereby you register your business with the Zimbabwe Companies of Registry, and also even get a veterinary permit from the Department of Veterinary Services, and also comply with poultry hatchery standards under the Animal Health Act. It's a number of standards and also requirements you need to adhere to before you start. So it's very important that you research under these and you understand them before you start this kind of business. Then you also have to understand the biosecurity measures, whereby you have to install food baths, hand sanitizers, and even secure fencing to ensure that diseases are well controlled. Then we also talk of keeping visitor logs or log books, which ensure who came to the farm and who left from the farm at what time and where they have been. It's so essential that you maintain these books. Then also talk of regular health checks on chicks and also on eggs, which is essential for maintaining the health of these birds. Then we also talk of import compliance, whereby you need an import permit from the Department of Livestock and Veterinary Services to allow you to import these fertile eggs. Be sure that you source these eggs from areas that are free from the avian influenza with full documentation. This also makes even your clearing process easy. Then you also have to understand even the penalties that comes with non-compliance, and this can include fines, destruction of stock, as well as total suspension from the operations. So you have to understand that when it comes to this, the ministry is quite heavily compliant and monitor this area fully, follow all the protocols as well as all the standards expected in this area. We also talk of the market strategy for day-old chicks. Once you have got your chicks from the hatchery, the next step is to sell them fast and efficiently. We can also talk of the strategies that can work. The idea is you have to identify your market, maybe smallholder farmers who are in practicing reduction for meat, and also you can even deal with agro dealers and feed stockists, also even some NGOs and also rural development programs. Also you have to market early, whereby you can even market ahead before the hatchery, and whereby the farmers can place orders early and you just supply and they pay the balance, or they prepay for the chicks. Then we can also even utilize other marketing channels such as WhatsApp groups, Facebook Marketplace, as well as posters in rural markets, and also even partnering with feed stores to bundle chicks and feed, which is also one of the strategies that can work. Then you also think about a repeat sales tip, whereby you can offer even a brooding advice and even a production advice to farmers, and or even a small starter feed sample to create loyalty among the farmers. Then also think about bulk clients, whereby you can even target large outgrower schemes and even schools with poultry programs. These are also even other ways you can think around this business. We also talk about mitigating the avian influenza and also disease risk. So you have to understand that when you're running a hatchery can be a big source of infections of avian influenza. Not just avian influenza, but other diseases can also come from the hatchery. So it's very important that you adhere to the recommended standards, and you also understand that avian influenza is a real threat when it comes to the whole poultry value chain in Zimbabwe. Not just in Zimbabwe, but the whole world. If it hits your area or your source country, your business could become to a complete stop. You have to understand the Zimbabwe policy on avian influenza. You have to also understand that imports can be banned from infected areas with immediate effect on your imports. But keeping breeder stocks can be very expensive. You need lots of money. You need a huge investment to invest in this breeder flock. You need a huge investment to invest. There are also even mandatory 21-day quarantine for imported eggs, which is essential to monitor disease development, and so random veterinary inspections, which are key to check if you are adhering to quality. Therefore, it is very essential that you source from approved zones, and you also maintain tight biosecurity at all times, and even report chicken mortalities of more than 5% to the Department of Veterinary Services, so that they can monitor the situation. Then we also talk of tips for growth and expansion in this industry. Once you master the basics, you can then scale. By scaling in this industry, basically you need to add a breeder flock, which can reduce the reliance in these poultry houses, such that they have comfortable houses. You need highly skilled, trained staff that can monitor these birds and work with the eggs. You can also think around even of getting a delivery vehicle to reach the rural markets fast and more efficiently. Think about brooder packages, whereby you can sell chicks and also starter kits. So think around data trafficking, whereby you can use softwares or even Excel sheets or even simple apps to monitor hatch rates, losses, and also even customer demand. This is very essential because it can tell you your level of productivity and even your profitability. You can also think around entering another space of training local farmers, offering chick rearing workshops, and even include your brand. This is also important for brand visibility, and also ensure that you go out there and you become visible to many people as much as possible. Then when you talk of the profit margins now in this business, as well as the break-even point, it's also very important that you understand the numbers, because the numbers where you make the money, you have to understand how much you can make from this business. You also have to understand how much are you importing the fetal eggs, and understand the hatch rate, which can be around 80% as a standard, the price you are selling per chick, and also understand the cost of transport as well as the cost of delivering the chicks to the farmers. Once you understand this cost, you can calculate your profits and also your margins. With weekly batches, you could break even in about 3 to 6 months, depending on your scale of hatching. So on the other hand, we have to also understand that it's also about the numbers. The more numbers you have, the better. You have to understand that when you start this kind of business, Zimbabwe has a massive potential for hatchery growth. If you understand the legal framework, manage the disease risk well, and you can reach the target market. So if you are very serious about the poultry agribusiness, hatchery could be your next big move. Thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and also comment below.